It started with a message that blinked across his screen just as he was changing the oil in a minivan. Hey, I know this is random, but would you be my date to my ex's wedding? Ben Ramirez stared at his phone, wiping his greasy hands on a rag. At 38, he wasn't used to getting texts like this, especially not from his neighbor, Sophie Lane, the graceful but quiet graphic designer who lived across the hall. They'd exchange smiles at the mailboxes, and their kids played on the front lawn occasionally. But this, before he could even process a response, another message appeared. I'll explain everything. I need someone I can trust. You seem like a good guy. Ben's eyes drifted to the open garage door, where his 8-year-old daughter, Mia, sat cross-legged reading under the sunlight. Life had been heavy since his wife passed away from cancer 3 years ago. Raising Mia alone was equal parts exhausting and rewarding, but he hadn't really thought about dating or doing favors like this. But something about Sophie's message felt raw, honest. He typed back, "All right, but only if I can bring Mia to the rehearsal dinner." Sophie hadn't expected him to say yes. In fact, she regretted sending the message the moment she hit send. She hadn't spoken to Ben for more than a few polite exchanges about parking spaces and hallway renovations. But when the wedding invite had arrived, an ornate, smugly elegant envelope, her stomach dropped. It was Jason's wedding. Her ex-fiancé. The man who told her she was too quiet, too ordinary, not adventurous enough. And now, he was marrying a yoga influencer he'd met at a retreat 6 months after they broke up. The guest list? Their entire old circle. She was invited more out of formality, or maybe cruelty than kindness. She didn't want to walk in alone. Not when Jason would be showing off his upgrade. Not when whispers would circle the tables. So she texted Ben. A long shot. A favor she had no right to ask. And then she saw him 2 days later at the rehearsal dinner. Ben walked in wearing a crisp gray jacket, his dark hair neatly combed. In his hand, he held Mia's tiny fingers. The little girl wore a pale blue dress and carried a sketchbook in her other hand. Sophie felt her throat tighten. She hadn't expected to feel so seen. Ben greeted people with a calm confidence. He crouched to fix Mia's ribbon and smiled easily at the event coordinator. He didn't pretend to belong. He just did. Over dinner, as laughter floated around them, Sophie finally told Ben the truth. Jason left me 3 weeks before our wedding. Said I wasn't exciting enough. That he felt trapped by the idea of normal life. Her voice trembled. And now, he's marrying someone who posts sunrise meditations and product links for almond milk. I know it's petty, but I just didn't want to show up alone. Ben nodded, slicing a piece of chicken with practiced ease. It's not petty. It's human. Sometimes showing up is the bravest thing. Sophie smiled faintly. Why did you say yes? Ben glanced at Mia, who was now coloring a mermaid with wild purple hair. Because I know what it's like to feel like the world moved on without you. And because my daughter deserves to meet women who are strong enough to show up. The wedding day came. Sophie braced herself for judgmental eyes and false compliments. She wore a soft rose gown, nothing extravagant, but elegant enough to make her feel whole. Ben, in a navy suit, walked beside her, steady and calm. Mia held a small bouquet, a last-minute gift from Ben. The moment they stepped into the venue, whispers began. People assumed they were a couple. Ben didn't correct them. When Jason finally approached, Sophie could feel her pulse rise. Well, this is unexpected, Jason said, his eyes scanning Ben. Didn't think you'd bring anyone. Ben placed a hand gently on Sophie's back. Not possessive, protective. She didn't come alone, he said, voice cool. She came with dignity. That's more than I can say for some people. Jason blinked. He hadn't expected that. Sophie couldn't help it. She smiled. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like the abandoned one. She felt strong. Later that night, when the party faded and the sparklers died out, Ben walked her to her door. I have to say, Sophie murmured, you were very convincing. Like too convincing. Ben looked at her, half smiling. That's because I wasn't acting. Her breath caught. What do you mean? I've noticed you for a while, he said softly. How you always stop to help the elderly man on the second floor carry his groceries. How you water the community plants, even when no one asks. How you always greet Mia first before even saying hi to me. You're not boring, Sophie. You're real. Her eyes filled with tears. No one's ever said that to me, she whispered. You didn't need someone to go with you to prove something, Ben said. You just needed someone to remind you. You were enough all along. Days turned into weeks. Sophie and Ben started seeing each other again, this time without the need for fake roles or borrowed confidence. They shared coffee before work, movie nights with Mia, and long walks around the neighborhood. One evening, Sophie cooked dinner for them. While Mia helped set the table, Ben slipped into the kitchen with a sheepish grin. I got you something, he said. He handed her a small box. Inside was a simple necklace with a pendant that read, Enough. Sophie blinked away tears. Why this? Because you are, he said. Every day. But the moment that truly changed everything came on a quiet Sunday morning. Sophie opened her front door to grab the newspaper and found a note taped to it. In Ben's unmistakable, messy handwriting, it read, You don't need to shine louder than others to be seen. You just need to be yourself. That's the woman who saved me. That's the woman I want to stand beside, for real this time. Sophie cried, but not out of heartbreak. She cried because someone had finally seen her, not as someone's ex, not as second best, not as ordinary, but as enough. Moral of the story. Sometimes the moments we fear the most, the ones where we feel most alone, are the ones that lead us to the people who truly see us. You don't need to be louder, flashier, or more exciting to be worthy of love. You just need to be you. Because the right people won't ask you to prove your worth. They'll remind you of it. If this story moved you, leave a red heart in the comments and tell us. Have you ever had someone see your worth when you didn't? Folded hands, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful, true heart stories. Because sometimes showing up for someone else is how we finally show up for ourselves.